Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's episode, we are going to be working on a Fsolis, I think I'm saying that right, book nook titled Sailing Memory. Now, apologize for being a little bit between my videos and everything, but I had to work on getting a new phone, getting a new microphone, spring break. I mean, there's just all kinds of things going on and everything, so I had to get through all that, and so this will be the first video with my new phone and everything, so hopefully won't have any other issues like I was having before, but we'll see. So, of course, I'll go through all the pieces that came with the kit, and this one looks almost the same as the other book nook that I did, the internal bookstore, but it doesn't look like it has as many pieces to it. But again, it's rough wood. It's already stained or painted the color that they want you to have it, and the sides are actually pretty thick, as you can see, just to make sure it holds up pretty well. But then also on the inside, if you can see the little templates of where some of the pieces are going to be going on to. Here we go. But the pieces are going to be going on to, just so you know exactly where they're going to go and everything. So both the walls have that, just to make it a little easier. So, and then has this little transparent paper to maybe represent like a window or something to make it look see-through. And then you got some paper of some book covers and some other maps and some other stuff that we're going to be cutting out. And then this is your battery pack for your lights that's going to be going on. So we'll see if all those are working, because you remember my bookstore one, I had one out, but still got it to work. And of course you got your instruction book. And of course, like all of the other miniature kits, book nooks, it doesn't come with glue. So, but if you go to your craft store and just get any type of wood glue or strong bond glue, craft glue, it should work. So this is the whole kit. So like I said, not too much into it, but I'm happy, anxious to get started on another book nook and see how this is going to turn out. So, but as always, if you like my videos, please like, share, subscribe, leave comments, hit the notification bell, and we'll get back to you. So with that, we'll get started. Okay, so we got our pieces out for first step, and may have an issue or challenge for this first one, but we'll see what happens. So it looks like they want you, so just like the other pieces, you want to, just pop them out as easily, careful as you can, just so you don't damage the fronts or anything. And of course, when you pop them out, you get the little edging or nubs of what it was holding it to the board itself. So they give you, a little sandpaper, and one side's a little rougher than the other. So you just use the non-rough side and just sand down the edge just to make it smooth. And most of the side pieces you're really not going to see too much, but I still sand it down smooth just so it doesn't get interfere or anything. But you just go around shaving all that off for each of the pieces, and it looks like we're going to be gluing these top two pieces down. So try to get these on. Yeah, I'm in that. And if you want to make sure it's level, you can always just put it on a board and then just kind of slide them together and everything, and then just kind of push them. And if you want to use clamps, you can use clamps, whatever, just to make sure. But most of the glue, as long as it's holding pretty well and smooth on the sides, then you'll be fine. That's it. It looks like that's good. Okay. So now this one, it's like little steps. So I'm going to do the bottom of this one, and it's just going to go on top of this one in the back. So So just kind of glue throughout. And then what you want to do, just make sure the curved piece is on the same side. And then you want to line the backs up. You want to line the backs up to where they're straight, they're level. And again, if you want to put it down on a flat surface and push it down all the way, make sure that they're level, and then just kind of push them together, and then of course making sure that they're level on the sides as well. Okay, so this next piece you're going to be gluing on top of here to where it's flush with the back and the sides. And this front piece, they want you to be center with this top piece right here. You can measure from the front to the back and then mark on the side like halfway on both ends to ensure that this front corner goes right there, or you can probably just eyeball it. It just depends on what you want to do. Just as long as it's level on the sides and level in the back, then nobody's really going to notice if you're off just by a little bit. So I'm just going to glue up until this second opening on the bottom. I'm just going to glue right here in the back. I don't want to glue here because if I get into the gaps, you're going to see it. Talking a little loud. And then I'll just do a little bit of the front here because I don't know exactly how much, just so it doesn't overflow or anything. And then I'll just line each, again, depending on how fast it sets, the glue sets, you just want to make sure that you don't take too long and to set everything. So you want to try to line up everything beforehand. And you definitely don't want to try to move it too much. I'm just about to do there. Oops, get my hand out of the way. And I'm just going to kind of line this up at the front. Make sure the sides are level. Okay, so now, since this is set, and now we're going to put it on our bigger piece, floor piece right here. So I think might be the bottom of the bookcase, or parts of it, I'm not sure. But you just want to make sure your 4 holes are facing the front, not in the back. And you just want to make sure this tab is in the back, so you know that's facing the right way. And you're just going to put this right here on top, and you're going to make sure, again, it's flush. This back part is flush with the back. And then just make sure the sides are flush, and it's flush up here. So I'm to glue. Set this right here. There. And then that's why I like this glue. It doesn't set too fast, but it's quick enough that you got to be quick with it. So you just got to make sure it's flush there. And it's flush with the back. Okay, so the challenging part, this next step, they want this rug to be glued down here to go down each of these steps, and then the lid here. But as you can see, this is a solid piece, and these steps are curved, not straight. So I was debating a couple different ways of, the straight pieces, putting them here and then cutting it out and then gluing each individual piece on the step, going up and then laying down. But that would be a lot of work, and it wouldn't line up right, and you would probably see the gaps and everything. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this top part down. I'm going to start up here because it looks like this goes right to the edge of the first hole right here. Just making sure that's, you know, straight and aligned with these holes on the side, and just make sure it's, you know, level, even. I'm going to glue this down, and then I'm just going to work my way down to the bottom and then see if I can keep it as one piece, and see how this is going to go. And I don't know if you were to get it like a little wet, put a little bit of water on it, if it'd be a little bit more pliable, but then I just have a feeling that it would tear a lot easier too. And I just don't want to mess it up, because you don't get a second one of these. So first step, what I'm going to do is glue this down. Just glue this down on the top here. So, and I'm not going to put too much glue because it is paper, but enough to hold it. And we'll see what happens. If I mess up, I mess up. Again, I'll make the mistakes so you do not have to. Just don't want to put too much, because then too much glue for this paper will make it bubble up and everything. So again, you line it up right with the front with this hole, and then just make sure it's lined up. And I'm going to fill the bumps. And then just kind of press down on it. If you got something heavy, you can always squish it down a little bit, just to make sure it's, you know, flat, and you know, the glue's not going to bubble up or whatever. We'll just see what happens with this. I'm just kind of worried about it, but it's kind of messing with it a little bit. And might get it to fit, might not get it to fit. So, and with the paper, the glue actually works pretty quick. So with the top part on, oops, back it up a little bit. With the top part on, you can like start in the middle and then push it in and then curve it around to see if it'll fit. It looks like it might. May have some. I'm just seeing how this is. Yeah, so the carpet, the paper is going to pop up a little bit right here, but I am not worried about that at all, just to get this to fit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some glue inside here on the actual wood, and I'm going to put it on the wall going up to hold it, and I'm going to put it on the wall on the floor piece to hold it straight down as well. I may have put a little bit too much, but I don't care right now. And if there's any excess, you can just kind of wipe it away or whatever. So, and the glue will actually kind of hold it for the most part. For the most part, that's it. And nothing else, the glue will dry hard and everything. So you can just kind of mess with the carpet a little bit. Just kind of hold it. If you want to push it down a little bit, that's fine. But again, I'm not worried about it. It's going to be, yeah, pushed up just a tad bit, but I think there's going to be other things in the other things in the way of it to kind of keep it where you're not really going to see too much. You can always just kind of push it down a little, like it's, you know, kind of flailed out a little bit. But this is why you want to make sure your base is actually glued really well. If you have something kind of flat, you can kind of lay against it to kind of push it and hold it and everything. But you definitely don't want to use too much glue, because then that kind of warps the paper a little bit. I'm sorry, my hand's in the way. Try not to hide. Oh, and I just tore it right there. Yep. So, but again, not worried about it. But yeah, I did tear it a little bit right there. Okay. Try to. You don't want to mess with it too much, because then it will tear and rip more. But again, I think there's going to be other things in the way there that you can place or move around. Yeah, I'm not going to touch it. So it might be better to glue this first and not glue this, so it still moves around. That's probably why that tore, because I glued it here and this stuck down first before it stuck down in here, so that's why it kind of ripped a little bit. But it's not too bad though. I mean, definitely could be better, but I mean, you ain't gonna notice it too much being in there. And I'll come back later and just kind of clean up the glue a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to continue working on the back part, and we're going to be working on the back wall that's going to go into these two holes right over here. So first thing is put in this into here. So glue in. Okay. Just make sure you got the grain side up. And just plop that in. Just make sure it's all the way down. And just wipe off any excess. If you happen to see some. Okay. So now, what we're going to be doing. Okay, so we're going to flip it over. Now, what we're going to be using is this little thin film, like cloudy film that they give you. And it's going to go right over top of the opening. So you have film covering all three areas right here. So, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, you always want to try to make sure that it's centered and everything, but the main thing is just making sure that it's covering. Okay. And you definitely want to make sure there's no spider glue webs in the way. And then you just want to just line it up. And just push it down. Here a little bit. Not gonna hurt nothing. And then I'll just throw just a little in the middle there. And of course, again, just get all the webs out of the way. And just make sure you got one side that kind of looks a little darker than the other, I guess. So you just want to put that down and then just slide it down as far as it goes, slide it over. Kind of put the glue a little bit too far out, but It's holding it. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay. Then you just got the C in the back. So, not too bad. So then just insert it in. And then if you want to go ahead and insert it into these holes here, there's nothing wrong with that, because since the glue's trying to dry, it may, fold this end down because there's nothing really to hold it to. So if you want to go ahead and glue the bottoms. Get a little longer stringies. Okay. And this is going to go right in here. You just want to be careful to that goes right in there. And just push it down to hold it. All right, and there you go. Okay, so we got our next step out, and part of it is the books and one of the cats that we're going to be putting on the mantle and everything. So I did this before in the last book nook, because we had way more books than what they have in this one, but it's the same process. No matter what type of book nook you have and everything, of putting the paper with the books, the wooden books and everything. So of course you cut out the pages, try to get as close as you can to the picture so you don't have any white showing, and then you just pop out the pegs. And then just sand the edges so they're nice and smooth and everything. So they use 2 different sizes, but you do them the exact same way. So you just get it, you just kind of pop it in, and then you just fold it over, and you just make sure that it's lined up evenly on both sides, top and bottom. And then you just pull the book out, keep the shape, and then just put a little bit of glue on both sides. Not too much. It's going to leak out if you do. Get rid of the strings. And then just slide it in. Squeeze both sides. And if some leak out, then you can just swipe it. Top and bottom, whatever. But just make sure it's even. The pages are even on both sides before you let it go. And everything. Because it'll set pretty quick. So. But that's pretty much it, though. Just kind of squeeze it together, and then there you go. There's your book. So I'll just do it again with a small one. So you just fold it. Just put the book in. Slide it. Just make sure it's even. Top and bottom. Swipe. Glue out. And just kind of squeeze the edges. And there you go. And there's your book. There we go. Kind of shift it on me a little bit, but okay. So now that you got all the books together, so now you got your cat, and it's going to go into the little hole right here. It's going to slide right in into there. So I just put some glue on here. And just slide it right in. If it'll go, there we go. Slide that right in there, and then it wants you to pick out 4 books. Let's see what we got here. And it don't matter which 4 you pick. I mean, you're really not going to see too much. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and we'll do 4. So what they want you to do is line up And it's the smaller books, not the big one, but just line up 3 of them together. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just put a glue just on one side. Make sure you have the spines facing you. You're just going to put like a little bit of glue right there. And then you're just going to put the book on top. And then put another little there before that dries. Okay, and it looks like it don't really matter where it goes, but we'll just kind of put it right here on the shelf. And then I'll put this one right here. If you need some tweezers, that's fine. And then just have it leaning against the other books. There we go. Okay. Just kind of slowly working my way down. Oops. Sometimes the glue kind of helps a little bit. But if nothing else, you just definitely want to make sure that it's straight. So, you know, get rid of the stringies. Just make sure that it's straight somewhat. And then, as it's drying, then you want to get this piece, and this is going to go in the front, and down in these holes right here, into the very first hole. Yep, the very first hole. Careful sliding them down. And just get rid of some of this excess glue. I'll get rid of the kitty fur. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this piece you just did. So I'm trying to make sure that it's standing up straight. And then these are gonna slide into it. Make sure it doesn't go nowhere. Okay, and just put it down, and it's good to go. And again, you just want to make sure this back piece here is straight, which kind of looks like it is. So as you're waiting for that to dry, then you want to go ahead and get your battery and light source. Go ahead and put your 2 AAAs in there, and then what you do, you just turn it on, make sure it works. And as you can see, I've got 3 good lights, unlike the last time I only had 2. I actually had 4 and a couple bad ones. 1 bad one. So those are good. So it looks like we're going to be putting 1 down in 1 hole here, because you should have 2 that are 1 length, and then 1 that's a little shorter. As you see, these 2 bigger ones are 15 centimeters, and then you got your small one that's just 5. So, and it looks like they want you to put the 5 centimeter down the hole. And I think they want you to pull this apart just so you don't have to mess with the battery. So, and this should be easy and I'm surprised these are actually together. Usually these are already separated, that you have to put them together later. But taking it apart, you just don't have to worry about the battery. You don't have to worry about the battery as much. But it looks like they want you to put this one down the hole here. But sure. Since it's going to be kind of close against the wall, as close as possible, and try to bend it to make sure it stays against the wall there. Is included. It's just little strips that you can put on there, and I think last time I actually kind of glued them in place, but until I know for sure exactly how they're gonna go, then I'm okay with just going ahead and just taping it for now, just to hold it until I know for sure exactly how I'm gonna want this to be. And then once I get it set, then I may change its position and then glue it in place or tape it or something. So, but for right now, I'm just gonna it kind of wants it to be like kind of like this, but these wires aren't cooperating, so we'll just kind of leave it as it is like that. But this is kind of the first little part to be done with for the book nook and everything. So a little back piece, and I think next we're going to be working on some of the walls and everything. So we'll press on. All right, everyone. So I got our next pieces out. Looks like we're going to be working on one of the walls. This is wall A. On the sides, and as you can see, it's got the if you can see it, it's got the little etchings, templates of where you're going to be placing some things, pictures, and some other whatevers. So, had you wanted to cut these out, little outlines, and then the paper pictures of what's going to go in it. So, looks like it's better to try and actually glue the pictures onto the outlines before you put them on here, just to make it a little easier. So you just have to kind of work with it to try to get it to line up inside your frame and everything. So I definitely wouldn't use a lot of glue. Again, it's paper. So I'll just probably just put 4 little dots around the edge. Move around as well. Okay, get the stringies out of the way. Then you just kind of line your picture up. And turn it around and just try to move it in the opening how you want it. Of course, it don't have to be perfect, but as long as you can at least see the 2 globes and everything. So that looks pretty good right there. And then just press it down, just let it settle. So there's that one, and then little dots of glue. Just try to go around, out the edge, and just put it on there. And again, the front really doesn't really matter. I mean, you want to make sure it's straight, but it doesn't really matter what's showing, what isn't showing. It's just the way it's cut out. If you cut around the edges where there's no white showing, then it'll fit right on there perfect. So, but it's just press down on it. Same with that. Press down on it. Okay. So now it looks like I guess it really don't matter which way it goes, but you got a little square right here. That's where we're going to be putting the picture. So, and you can always do some of the edge a little bit. I mean, because if you do the middle, it's just going to hit the paper, which I just did. I don't know why I did it. But if you throw some, at least around the edge, then you know it's going to hit the wood and not the paper. So, because I'd rather hit the wood instead of the paper. You just want to line it up. Just make sure you don't see any of the outline at all. And you should be good. Just trying to get it to line up. I think that's good right there. Okay. Too bad. Now, got a little anchor, and there's two little round pieces where it's going to go. So we're just going to want to try to, doesn't line up exactly, but just put it in there and put those in the holes. There we go. That's going to work there for a second. Okay, just push those in. Make sure it's flush. Okay, and then I'll work with the back here. I'll put it in here, and then fill it in on the sides over there. Try to push that in. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then push these in. Make sure this is pushed in all the way. And if you need to get like a clamp or something to hold these together, then you can definitely do that. Okay, so our next piece is out and everything, but I wanted to kind of go over something that I noticed with this last step. So this back piece, I was having a little trouble getting it on. So something I recommend, I know it might be too late since you may have already completed the step, but this top piece was just a little bit too far back and wasn't really flush with the rest of the pieces. So that's what was keeping it from going all the way in on the one side. So when you do that, you may just want to use this before you put the wall in and kind of push it up against it and see if it goes all the way through and everything. And, just to make sure that it's good to go. And then also, it didn't really say anything about gluing this back piece to the back wall, but I went ahead and did it because it was just kind of loose and sticking out and everything, and it just provides more support and everything. But then something else I wasn't even thinking of was, now that wire that you put in the back, I mean, I taped it up, but if I was thinking about it, I would have probably tried to secure it a little bit more before I did this, because now I can't get to it. I mean, the only other way is just to maybe tear off some tape and use some tweezers to try to put it in there and tape it up a little bit better or whatever. But I just would have prepared that light a little better. But as long as it's in that hole and just in there somewhere, I think you're fine. I mean, it doesn't really need to be taped to the back of the wall here. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's a wall in front and behind it. So as long as it's down in the hole, I think you're fine with it. To not tape it up or whatever, but that's up to you on what you want to do. And then I also noticed that you see some lines right here on the wall. And, when I see that, I think that something's supposed to go there. But these lines are these right here, or these dividers that you put in. They are supposed to line up with the sections that are on the wall that I just noticed putting it in. So that's just another method or another thing that you can use to ensure that these are going in the right spots on the wall. I mean, as long as they're going into the holes and the tabs that you have, I mean, it should line up right, but that's just something I noticed with those lines that I see and everything. So, but I just wanted to just pass that along to you. I just went ahead and glued this top piece up here. I didn't really say to. It just says to glue, but it doesn't say what to glue. But just to prevent it from being loose and everything. So I just went ahead and glued it, and then I may work with the light in the back, but I may not. I may just leave it and just leave it dangling back there because again, it's not going to hurt nothing and all that. So. Okay, so now we're going to work on looks like a table, some chair, or a table chair, and it looks like another divider that we're going to put in. So, okay, just put some glue. And on that top tab part that I showed, if you want to put like a clamp or something on it, that's totally fine, just to hold it in. I don't think it matters which way this goes, just as long as it goes down. Okay, and then I'm just going to glue this other one. Because I had to put a clamp on it because it kind of moved away from the wall a little bit, so it's just helps secure it and everything. So we make sure that both stains are facing the same direction, because this is probably going to be like facing toward the back and everything. So okay, and now I'm going to put these little decorative pieces, looks like, on the sides here. Might be better to get some tweezers. Just kind of seeing. And then just push the table legs apart if you need to hold it, or you can just push them together once you get it in there. But you just kind of line it up. There we go. Yeah, just kind of push it together. Now I'm going to do this other side. Let's glue there. Glue there. Okay. Just line this one up. There we go. Okay. Got that together. Okay, so now, decorative part. Make sure you're facing the decorative part forward. So now, I wanted you to cut out the little map paper, and then we're going to glue this down at an angle to where it's going to be kind of like that. And again, you don't have to do exactly like the instructions say, but just depends on what you want to do with it, because it's just going to be laying on the table some shape, form, or whatever. So you definitely don't need a lot of glue. You can either glue the paper at the table, but I'm not for sure exactly what parts of the paper are not going to be on the table once I move it. So I'm just going to throw just a couple little dabs. Yeah. And then just going to put this, and I'm going to cover up those little holes from the legs that I put in. So just kind of angle it a little bit more, just like that. And then wanted you to grab your two bigger books that we did a couple steps ago that was left over, the two bigger ones, and then just glue one on top of the other. You can do it however you want. Again, don't have to be like it shows in the picture, but just as long as they're not, I mean, if you want to stack them exactly like on top of each other, that's fine, but you always want to make it a little different. And everything, and then once that's done, I'm going to glue this to the table. Okay, put that right there. And then you got your quill. Place it right there. Okay. Just got to move that around. Okay, so table is done for now. Not too bad. So now we're gonna put a chair together. So this is gonna go into here. Okay. Actually. Okay, so you want to make sure this is the unfinished side to go in. Pop that in there. And then make sure the unfinished sides go on the inside. Okay, so put those in. Now, let's use a toothpick to remove some of the excess glue. So now you want this to be put down on top. Yep. So you want this to just slide down to where the two pieces are just right on top of it and everything. So I'm just going to slide this down. Okay. You just want to make sure it's level with the back as best you can. There we go. Okay. We squeeze the sides together if you want. All right. I always like to kind of put it in here first and see how it's going to look before I start gluing anything down. Just to see how it's going to look. See if I want to change anything. Whoops. So you always have the chair at a little bit of an angle, and then have the table straight, or you can angle the table if you want. So it's totally up to you what you want to do with it. So I think I may angle it just a little bit, but okay. we go. Actually, not too bad like that. Angle it just a little bit more, maybe. Bring it over. Move the chair. A little bit. Oops. Okay. Part is getting it. Down in the holes without getting the glue on anything, like I just did. Like I just did. All right, there we go. And the wife did say my what do you call it? I guess you could always glue that to that, couldn't you? Because they want you to grab this piece and line it up right with the top of this and have it go to the top of this line. Yeah. Just making sure not to go above this right here. So if you have something to make sure it doesn't go past that. Just make sure that that's flush. And then make sure it's as straight as you can make it. And if you have it in the same spot as the two lines, then you should be fine. Nope, sorry. And from what I'm seeing, that looks pretty straight. That looks pretty straight. Okay, so we got our next pieces out. Looks like we're doing another little section divider or whatever. So we're going to get these long pieces and we're going to glue them to the inside right here. And sometimes the longer pieces are maybe a little warped or bent like this one is and everything. So it's just the way it comes sometimes in the packaging. So nothing really you can do with it. You just got to work with it. So, and with this, you want to make sure that the stained part is on the inside, because that's what everybody's going to be seeing. Okay. Just want to line it up as close as possible to the edge. And then what you want to do is just kind of eyeball it, because since this is going to push down into the floor, you want it to be level with that notch. So I'm just going to push it up a little bit, because even if it's up just a little bit, nobody's really going to notice that much. So I'm just going to push it down. A little bit of glue leaking out. Some leakage. Okay. Just make sure it's level, make sure it's down. You can eyeball it or put something right on this line here, because you just want to make sure that it's level with this piece right here. You want to make sure it's level with that, not with this tab right here, because this is going to go down into the floor. So just make sure it's level with that part right there. So now I'm going to make sure it's pushed in all the way. Just run my finger down. And then eyeball it. I'm thinking it might be good. Drop it just a little bit. I just don't want it to be the reason why it doesn't go into the floor or whatever. So I think that's fine. I'm just going to push it. and it's right up against the edge, you know, here and here, but there's a little opening right in the middle, and I think this is just this piece being the way it is. It's just, you know, bent a little, so no, you ain't gonna notice it that much. Okay, so now you got these 4 pieces, like little arches. They go onto the top of right here. That you're going to put in. So you can either glue them individually, one at a time, onto the same spot, or you can glue them all together. It's up to you on what you want to do. I don't think it really matters, but you want the unfinished side. You want the unfinished side on the same as the unfinished main part. So you want the same side to be down. So again, it just depends on what you want to do, how you want to do it. I don't think it's wrong either way. So, but at least doing it one at a time this way, you can make sure that it actually lines up, or you can get it to line up a little bit better, however you want it. But again, there's nothing wrong with being just a little off. Okay, I'm just gonna line it up with the arch. See, best I can, push it down. And again, like I said, nobody's really gonna see nothing if you're off by a little bit or whatever, but you just need to do this 3 more times to finish the other ones. Okay. I think we are good. Okay, so you got all 4 lined up. From now, what we're going to be doing is putting this on top of it. And as long as you line it up at the top, it should be lined up with the bottom. But you got to make sure to line up these with the boards as best as possible, because you got 2 tabs. They're going to have to go in. I think these are fine. It's just this one's off a little bit, so I'll just put more glue on just because I know this is going to be a little harder to stay and everything. So I'm just going to line this up with the top. On the inside as best I can. And then try to line these up. Make sure that they're flush. Which this is not. So I have to hold it for a second or 2. Face forward. And then you're going to line it with the holes again. Okay, those are in. This isn't. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was worried there for a second. Got some blue strings hanging out. I like to make sure it's down all the way. This side's good. I can see, you know, I don't see the tab or anything. So this side's wanting to pop back up on me. So I gotta find a good weight. Something heavy to push this down so it stays even with this right here. That's the way it is all the way across. And I actually may go ahead and throw some glue right there to see if it'll hold it in. While I try to find something real quick and just throw a weight on top of this to hold it down. Weight right here. I just glued it right here at the top. Put it into it, pushed it down a little bit just to make sure it stays even. flush with this top board. And then put at least a little bit of heavy weight on it and see what it'll do. So, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what the next step is. Okay, so I just want to start off with this by saying I had to re-record this because I'm still getting used to my new microphone, and I think it went dead on me. So this whole video is just me trying to remember what I did. So at the beginning here, I was just trying to let you know that when I talked about earlier about gluing this top piece down, I had noticed that I didn't glue it all the way toward the back wall. And when I did that, then when I was at this point, I looked at it and noticed that it was sticking out a little bit. And so because of that, then the other wall was not going to fit as closely as what it was going to have to be a tight fit. And as you can see here, you can see it literally sticking out past the back wall. So that the other wall, once you put it in, was not gonna, be able to fit and everything. So I had to go in and try to take all the glue out and everything. And as you see here, you can see me, pushing against this and showing that, it needed to be pushed against that back wall and the side wall for it to be glued down if you want to glue it. But luckily I didn't put a lot of glue down, but it took me a little to remove the glue, or at least loosen it to where I could move this piece around and everything. So hopefully you catch this before you glue it down and everything, but if you do, just make sure you glue it all the way to the side wall and the back wall, just so it's flush and not sticking out the way I had it and everything. So okay, so we have all these pieces out, and it's just a lot of little furniture pieces and everything. So with this one, it's just one of the shelves that we're going to be doing. Just going to be gluing on a little lantern piece going down, and then there's going to be some books that we're going to be putting on that we put together early on, and it's going to be the smaller books that we used. And to put them together, and we talked about this before, is just putting a little bit of glue on top of one and then just putting the other one on top of it, but then just kind of shifting it a little just so it's not neatly stacked. Or if you want it to be neatly stacked, you can do that, but I always like to push it aside a little bit just to show a little disorganization, I guess you can say. And then we're just throwing a little bit of glue on the shelf here just to get it to stick. And I'll talk about this later in the video, but when you put the books down, you want to make sure that the books are not sticking out past the back of the shelf, because you're going to be putting the shelf right up against the wall and you don't want anything going past the shelf or anything. So you just want to make sure those books aren't sticking out past the back of the shelf. So here you're just putting on the supports for the shelves, the little brackets. And I believe the stain only goes one direction, so the stain will be facing the same. And I just glued the shelf and then just attached the brackets on each side and just make sure that they were straight. And then this front trim piece, I just glued the front there, and then just use some tweezers to get a good grip on it, and just kind of worked its way in there as best I could. And then you just want to stick it down and just make sure it's flush with the front and everything. And just make sure everything's somewhat kind of lined up and straight. And then you can just kind of lay it down on the back to get everything to dry, just as long as nothing falls off or anything. So you just want to make sure everything's dry before you sit it down and everything. So okay, so now this is like a little table with some spindles. So I'm just throwing some glue down, putting the top solid piece onto where the spindles are going to be going up into. And then when you're doing this, you just want to make sure that it's level. The two pieces are even with each other, and you can always put it down on the mats and just make sure they're the same shape and everything.
So here I was just trying to make sure trying to figure out which way the spindles are going to be fitting into the holes before I glued it down. And then I just went ahead and just put glue in each hole. Might be a little messy, but it worked. And then I just went through and just started putting spindles in each of the holes. It's pretty much, they're facing out. So not going to say there's only one way that they're going to go, but I mean, you definitely need to make sure that the stain is facing out when you put them in. And then they're all going to be kind of trying to fall over. So you want to make sure that you get the get the glue on top, just so you don't have to set it down to try to get the top onto it if you want to put glue on the top piece instead of the spindles. But I just did that and then used the top piece, tried to line it up as best I could. And of course they're not all going to go into the holes, so if you can at least be able to hold it with both fingers, then you can get your tweezers and just move each spindle into the hole, which you can't see, it's thumbs in the way. But just moving the spindles into each hole to get it to line up so it all fits until they're all in there, and then you're good. And then you just kind of push it together, make sure it's whole, make sure that they're all in, and then just kind of push it together and just make sure that it's straight, that it's not like crooked or anything. So, and then for this next section, it looks like we're going to be putting like a barrel together that's going to be holding a couple maps that we're going to be rolling up. So the first couple pieces are it's just a couple rings that we put together, and then the very bottom piece is a solid round piece that to use as the base. So just kind of gluing each one together, and then I just kind of roll it down, press it on the mat there just to make sure that that they're level. Just make sure that they're not off center or anything like that. There's the base, and you just want to make sure that the stain on the circle pieces are facing up. So it's that top piece, make sure that the stain on the circle is facing up, and then that's where I'm just kind of rolling it, just pushing down, making sure they're all level and everything, because we're eventually going to be rolling a map, or putting a map on the outside of it. So here's just putting glue all around it. I mean, I'm not putting too much because it is paper and everything, but just enough for the paper to grab. And then you just, don't matter really where you start, you just start at one end, and then just slowly work your way around, just pressing down, and then just rolling the paper until you get to the other side. And if it happens to overlap the other end, that's totally fine too. And you just want to make sure that it's doesn't overlap the bottom. You want to make sure that the bottom barrel base, is actually on the floor and everything. So if you want to cut the paper to, that it's smaller than what you're putting on, that's fine too. But you just want to make sure the paper isn't lower than the base itself. And then rolling up the maps, I just use a small screwdriver, and then I just put it on and just started rolling it to get the shape in. And then right before I finished, I went ahead and just threw some glue in the whole length of the paper, just went down. And then usually with the paper rolls like that, I usually will get a toothpick and just kind of spread it out a little bit, just so there's no bubbles sticking up or anything, just to kind of smooth it out and make sure it's even. And then once you do that, then you just go ahead and just finish it. And if there's any glue that seeps out, then you can just rub the glue around the other edges and everything, and then there you go. I mean, nice little roll. And then you can just put it in there, and then I went ahead and just glued the bottom of those maps, of each of those maps, and then just put it back into the bucket there, just to make sure that they stayed and weren't going to go anywhere. And this one, this piece is the little crate. So I figured this was kind of the best way to glue it together, is just use a side and just put glue all around it, and then just get each piece, and then just put each piece where it's supposed to go, because the top and bottom or on the inside of every piece, so trying to push it in wasn't going to work. Because if you try to push it in, then it was just going to fall inside the box, and you wouldn't be able to do nothing with it. So I just got one end, the longest, and then just glued all the pieces together all the way around it, and then put glue, and just kind of, I pulled that one off. But just made sure that they were lined up as best as possible. Push everything together. And then once I got done, then I went ahead and just threw some glue on those pieces for the other end piece to stay on. That way you don't have to mess with the top and bottom pieces again, because if you try to push on them, they're going to fall inside, and it just would create more of a mess to try to fix them, because you can't really get to them with it being completely enclosed and everything. And then once you get that on, then you just squeeze everything together. Try not to push on those top and bottom pieces. Just make sure it's lined up. And then you're good to go. Okay, so this piece, it was actually 5 individual pieces. So I went ahead and just glued them together. I just got one, just glued the next piece right next to it, and then I put it down on the mat, and then I just pushed it down to make sure it was even, and then just pushed it forward or back to ensure that it was straight. And then I just did that for each other piece until all 5 were together. And that's going to be the top of this chest that we're building. And with this, I kind of did the same thing as I did with the crate, is I just used an end piece and then put glue all the way around it, and then just put all the pieces around it to make sure that they, didn't fall over or anything. And then once I got all the pieces on there, just kind of tried to line everything up and everything, and then did the same, just put some glue on, and then put the other end piece on. And then once you do that, then you can kind of squeeze it together to try to line everything up, make sure it's all straight. And, again, putting furniture pieces down to try to make sure it's all level and straight, and pushing down on the pieces is kind of the best way to make sure it's level and everything. So, but again, if it's not, nobody's really going to notice too much. And then once you get that done, then you want to try to line up the top piece, and then glue the ends, and then try to get it in there before the glue dries, just in case if you need to push out those end pieces of the chest. Because I think on this one, I had to push it out just a little, just in case if they weren't pushed in as close as what they needed to be. And yeah, it was hard to kind of get a grip on it because of the glue, where the glue was, but I got it in there and just pushed it around to where it was just even, and just kind of lined it up. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is, there was another map or picture that they wanted us to glue on top of this chest. So I just went ahead and just put glue all around it. And again, this is one of those where it doesn't have to be even or anything, but you can just start it at the top of the curve with somebody getting in the way, and getting them out of the way. That's Rosie. So she always likes to get involved with anything I do. So, but once you glue that map down onto the chest, then they want you to glue the chest down to the crate. And then, of course, you can always put it how the picture looks and everything, but you can, as always, you can do however you want it and everything. So now, we're going to be putting on the shelves that some of the little trinkets and stuff that we're going to be putting on. So with these, they said the shelf isn't straight, it's longer on one end and shorter on the other. So they want the longer end toward the inner wall there. the opening, and then the smaller piece toward the outside or toward the end piece and everything. So you always want to make sure that the thicker end of the shelf is toward that opening, and the smaller piece is to the outside. And then just put glue down, and there's lines there on the wall there to show you where those shelves are going to go. So I just put glue on the wall itself, and then just put the shelves down just to make it easier. And then once I let the shelves dry, so they wouldn't fall down if I lifted the book nook up and everything, then you just get your pieces that they want you to put on there, the little ship. Just kind of glued the bottom part. I kind of glued a little bit of the front to get it to stay, because it wasn't really too much that was touching the shelf. And you just kind of have to watch it, because it always was trying to, go forward to fall off the shelf and everything. So, and then you just work your way in doing the other pieces. And you can always do like a dry fit, where you just put the pieces up there to see how they're going to look. And again, you don't have to put them exactly like the picture, but you just do kind of, whatever you want, whatever looks good and everything. And we're just finishing up the hourglass, putting that up there. And then you definitely want to make sure the glue dries before you lean this down or anything. So, and then I think here is where I realized that the books were too far back from the shelf. So I went ahead and took them off the shelf and re-glued them, just so the shelf would fit right up against the wall. And then this was just another picture frame that we were just gluing another one of the pictures onto the back of. And the majority of them, all the pictures, you did the same way. You just cut it out and just put a little bit of glue around the edge, and the picture was always bigger than the opening, so you didn't have to worry about cutting it too small or anything. So, but you definitely still don't want to put too much glue down. Again, too much glue and paper, it'll just bubble up and everything. So just put little dots going around. And then get the little strings out, because glue likes to leave strings. And most of the time you don't really have to have it too straight, because the picture really isn't needed to be straight or whatever. So, and then here is just gluing the map case or bucket, and just gluing it to the top of the table. And you just want to put it off to the side as far over as you can without it really overhanging too much. And then here, just kind of moving stuff out of the way, because we're going to be gluing everything down. So here, just gluing that picture underneath the shelf. I believe there was a image for it, or a partial image of where to put it. And then there was another little line there of where to put the other shelf. And then sometimes, and you just want to make sure that that lantern and those books are far enough up that it doesn't, hit the picture. Which I think that was something else I had noticed too, that the books were hitting the picture and everything. So I just had to move them up. And then here, I just cut out some of the smaller pictures or prints, and then you're just kind of gluing them in some way under the shelf. They don't have to be a specific way, but they just wanted it to be under the shelf. And then your little map shelf goes underneath there, and you can always, and I think I did that here in a second, is I went ahead and just placed it in there just so I knew exactly where I could put the papers, so it wouldn't be in the way or anything. Yeah, so I went ahead and just put this in. I didn't glue it yet, I could have, but I just went ahead and just put it in there just so I'd know exactly where I could put papers where they wouldn't be blocked by the shelf or anything like that. But you just put them however you want, and it's fine to overlap. Just get them in there, and you just put a little drop of glue on the paper and just put it in, and it'll hold it pretty well. It sets pretty well and everything. So you just put this last piece in. And I dropped it. So, but again, you can put these however you want, so it doesn't really matter. And then this is me gluing the shelf in. Again, you could have glued it back then. It doesn't really hurt to do it earlier than what they wanted you to do it, because it's laying down, so it definitely wouldn't hurt. But just go ahead and glue that in, lining it up, make sure it's straight, pushing against it. And then the last thing is put in the chest and the crate. And you can just kind of put it however you want it, just so you can see, the sides of each one and everything. So, but always, again, try to just put it in there to see how it's going to look first. And then I'll go ahead and glue it, glue the bottom, and then set it in. And then we're done.
Hi everyone, welcome back. And you're not gonna believe what just happened. So, okay. So just to show you what happened. So the next step is to put this front wall on the front in this hole. Well, when I went to go put it in, it wasn't lining up right and everything, because these 3 shelves here were in the way. Like they were sticking out too far. And as you can see, that one is kind of still sticking out a little bit past your hole right here. But the thing is, like, these walls here are in the holes that were on the board, and the same for these back here and everything. So everything is pushed back as far back as it'll go. It won't go back anymore. And the same with these shelves. They were all the way up against the wall here and everything, but they were still sticking out too far for this front wall to go in. So I was trying to debate on what to do, because I'm not taking nothing down or anything. And so what I decided, and the thing with these wood pieces is they're very thin, that you can use like a little X-Acto knife or whatever to be able to kind of cut or trim some pieces. So I went in and actually cut the ends off a little on this piece and this piece a little bit, just to get it out of the way. But this I cannot cut because it has a little support underneath it. So what I end up doing, if you can see, I end up trimming this piece where that was going to be. I just kind of lined it up to it, marked it, and then I just kind of used this knife to kind of trim down a little and just cut a little bit off. So when you line it up, it finally goes in straight. And I cut a little bit too much off of the shelves here, a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, again, nobody's going to notice or whatever. But it did have like a little white, edging showing. So I actually got a brown Sharpie and just kind of colored into the ends just to kind of show and everything. So don't tell anybody I did that. So I don't really know why these 3 shelves are sticking out too far, because everything is supposed to be where it's supposed to be. So I don't know if it's a defect with this wall here that this hole should have been cut a little bit further out or what. I don't know. So, so it's just something to look out for when you're putting your shelves on. Before you glue them, line your shelves up, all three of them, and then try to put this on and see if it goes on or not. And if it doesn't go in the hole straight without, having to angle it in or whatever, then that's where I would try to work on either trimming these top two shelves and then trimming your actual front wall piece a little to get this to fit, and just so it'll get in there right. So I don't know what happened with that. So, but again, just kind of showing you what I experienced. And I mean, there may be other models that everything fits right or whatever, but this one just happened to me that this front wall did not fit into the hole here because of these three shelves weren't lined up and everything. So don't know what happened, but just showing you what I did. And again, nobody's going to notice, what I did or anything, because it's to them, it all looks, the way it's supposed to be. So, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and glue this front wall in and make sure that is good to go. And in the manual, it doesn't really say. I mean, sometimes it shows like a little glue icon. I'll show you. Okay, so in the manual or in the instructions, so you see like a little glue icon right here saying, oh, go ahead and glue this piece to here to here. Some other places, it doesn't say to glue on, but I mean, that's the only way these pieces are going to fit together is if you glue them on or not. I mean, maybe the holes are small enough to hold everything together, but I mean, if you still want to glue it all together, that's totally fine. But if it says not to glue it, if you just want to push the walls in and everything, and they stay in the holes and everything, then I mean, I guess that's fine too. So I'm just kind of letting you know that, if it doesn't say to glue it, then you may not need to really glue it or anything. So, because this front wall, I may not, I may try just not gluing it and just leaving it as it is. And, because, once you put the other wall in, then it's going to stay there. It's not going to go anywhere or anything. So, but we'll see, So I may actually just, because I glued these other ones, but it didn't say to, but, it's just something to think about, if you want to glue them or not. But so I may just leave that one in for now, not really glue it or anything. So continuing on. So this was the next step. This was two pieces. It was just like a front piece and a back piece of this clock. So I just glued the front on top of the other one. So really nothing too difficult. I just went ahead and did it. Just got to line up the sides and make sure it's level, even on the top and everything. So, and we'll just put that aside for now. Okay, so now we're going to be working on like a little shelf right here. So, okay, so for this piece, it's making sure that this hole is on the bottom short side or the lower part of this piece, because it's not centered with this piece at all. This hole is actually lower on this end than it is up here. So you need to make sure that this bottom part is a smaller distance than this upper part to get these in. So let me just see if these actually fit into the hole. Oh yeah, you need glue. So I mean, it's kind of loose and everything, but it doesn't say glue, but I'm going to glue it in. Okay. So with the lower part down, and you also want to make sure that this hole, again, it's not centered. So you want to make sure that the smaller distance is to the right. You want to make sure the hole's facing down. Like so, and then the same, make sure the hole's right here. Oh, let's go up. Make sure the stained side is facing up. sure that's good. Okay. So this is facing up. This is going to go in here. That. So when you're done, you should have a bigger gap here than here. And when that's done, then you want to have this with the stain side facing out, and then all three of these are going to go into here. Get rid of the strings. Okay. So with that facing out, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Face that in. And that in. Okay. Then this is going to go on top here. So put some in there. And roll it right inside here. Okay. Let's take some of the excess off. Okay. Make sure that's settled. Okay. Next up, this was 2 pieces. You had this little decorative front and this solid piece in the back. So I went ahead and you just glue the front decorative right on top of the solid piece. So I just glued on the corners and then just put it down, just let it dry. And this, oh, inside it, okay. I thought it was supposed to be on the outside, but put it right on the inside, it looks like. Level with the top pieces here. Okay, so I'm just going to push this in, just making sure it's level. And if nothing else, you can always like push it down and then just lay it flat. That way you know it's straight on the front. It's level and everything. So, and then also that's level down. Okay. Okay, and I'm trying not to push down too much on this one that I just did, but so just put some on top, slide it in so the edges right here catch. And then you get yourself your little shelf, and just make sure you don't push in on anything. Okay. Okay. So try to put this in. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. So next up is a bunch of picture frames. So this one, you cut out the piece and you had the picture, and I just already glued it to the back. But this one has a little kickstand leg that you're going to be gluing onto the back of it. So the easiest way, well, I won't say the easiest, but the way I usually do it is I just put glue on the back of the piece that's going to go into the back of the picture. Just put a dab of glue on, and then some tweezers, kind of put it flat on the ground, and then just put it right to the picture of where you want it. and then just let it set, let it dry, because if you put enough glue on it, it shouldn't move or shift around on you or anything, but just make sure it's in the center, and then just leave it there, and it'll dry on its own. It won't move up or down or anything like that. So we'll just I'll just kind of move this over to the side for now. Grab the other wall, and of course it's got the little outlines of where we're going to be putting some of these pieces. Okay, so first thing is the clock. See the little lines right here? So those are going to be the edge of the clock. So just going to throw some glue on the back. Okay. And again, you just want to line it up before you put it down on the board, just so you don't have the glue kind of smearing around or whatever. And just line it up, press it down. And as long as you got the piece covering the lines where you don't really see it too much, then that's all you're really looking for. If you have wood that you can glue on, then you definitely use that, but if not, then just do what you got. And most of the outlines are just making sure the picture's in the right spot for when you put it back onto the actual book nook itself, so it misses all the other walls and everything that's in there. Okay. Get a pistol. Okay. Okay. So they're just placed in here. Right up against the edge here. Okay. Then you want your picture frame. I mean, it might not be completely dry yet, but like, again, it just depends on your glue and everything. So I'm just gonna hit the leg and then hit the bottom part of the frame here. And then some tweezers, and we're just gonna that's interesting. Yeah, okay. So just kinda it's like it's where I have the leg on the back, it's almost too tall for the shelf. So you'll almost need to raise it up a little bit. So I'm gonna okay. There we go. Okay. So you definitely got to make sure that Definitely make sure that the kickstand on the back is up high enough so the picture can get underneath the shelf. If not, then it won't stay. So okay, so yeah, you can have it straight or at an angle or something. It's just up to you on how you want it. Put that in there. Goes up here. Next is the spyglass. Okay. That'll just go right here in the middle. All right, so there's all your pieces on your on your shelf and everything. So now it's just waiting for them to dry, and then we only got like a couple more steps, and then we are done. Okay, so we got our pieces dried, everything. So now it's time to put the wall on the other side. And again, I didn't glue this. I just have it in there. So we'll try it without glue and just see what happens. So you pretty much got 3 or 4 places where this is going to attach here, down here at the bottom, and then these are going to go popping at the side. But you got to make sure your wire doesn't get caught. You want to make sure it goes over the top. Just make sure it's right on top. So it goes in. Push it back a little. Okay. And then make sure the bottom is lined up, like so. And then, oh, there we go. Okay. So that popped in. I'm just gonna push this in a little bit and oh. Okay, so I am gonna have to glue it. So I may not have to worry about gluing the there we go, bottom pieces or anything like that, or the sides. But what I may do is glue this front right here, because as you can see, it's not being, it's not tight. Somebody's playing with this cord. No, with the wires. So I'm going to just put some glue down this front part, and then I may throw some glue just down right on the top part of this one, and this one, and I actually have a clamp that I can use. All right, so welcome back. So, okay, so I know last episode I talked about not gluing, these walls on the end and not gluing this on either end, but it was not working out because the wall, outside wall here, kept coming off, and it wasn't tight, and separating, and it was just a lot of space, and you could kind of push on it back and forth and everything, and the same for the walls in there. So I would recommend go ahead and gluing the wall to this wall, or this front wall to the side here, and then gluing this wall to the side here, and then gluing these pieces in just so they don't move around, and it holds this wall in place, because I still didn't glue down here at the bottom or on these pieces in the back, because those were actually held in pretty tight. So, but if you want to glue those in as well, then you can go ahead and do that too. Again, it's up to you on what you want to do, but I went ahead and just glued everything, and got some clamps, got some of these clamps, and just put them together and let them sit overnight, just to make sure it wasn't going anywhere, because I think I had it on for a little bit. I took it off, and then it actually looked like the wall here was pulling itself out away and all that. So I just glued everything. So all else fails, just glue everything. You're good to go. Okay. So now we have our shelf right here, and this is going to go into our little section right there. And I think, yep. You want to make sure this picture doesn't go past the back here. I know. But you want to make sure this picture doesn't go past the back, because then it won't sit back against the wall. It won't sit back against the wall as flush, but it should fit right in between the two walls here and everything. So you can put some glue on the back. Oops. If your thing is straight, you can put some glue on the back, put some on the bottom, and just some along the edges right there. And then make sure you don't touch the glue, which I about did. Yeah, okay. And then just place it in there and set it back against the wall. And there's really not too much play. Like, whichever wall you want to put it against, it's up to you which one you want to do it. But that's it. So now after that, then we're going to do the same like we did over here. Like we did over here on this side, where we're going to put like a little brace over here on this one, and it's the same, just make it level with these two walls right here. And if you want, when you're gluing these walls to the side piece here, you can always have this piece and put it inside, just to make sure the walls are the distance apart, the right distance apart. That's what I was looking for. The right distance apart for this to fit into, because you definitely don't want to just glue the walls. You don't want to just glue the walls into it, and then when you go to put this piece in, then it won't fit, because the wall's already sealed, glued tight to the sidewall here. So you can always put this piece in to make sure that they're the right distance, and then glue it in afterwards, or go ahead and just glue it in. It's up to you. Okay, so you're gonna put that under here like so, and then you're gonna put this right on top of it. Okay, so I'm guessing you're gonna turn it, but this needs to be glued on because it is way too loose. But you don't want to glue this piece because it needs to turn. So I would throw some glue inside here, or you can put it around the top part of this right here. I wouldn't put any on the bottom here. It says don't fix it with glue, but that doesn't fit. It's going to fall right out. So There's no way it's gonna. Okay, hang on. Let me see something. Okay, it says not to fix it with glue, but yeah, either way you go, this is gonna slide off as soon as you let go of it. It's gonna fall right off. So you almost have to. I don't see no other way. Unless the hole was supposed to be a little tighter or something. I don't know. So I'm still gonna put some glue on the inside. Just make sure there's none on the outside, which I just did. So I'm just gonna wipe some of this off. Just make sure the glue's on the inside. And then just gonna push it down. As long as it's on the inside and you push it down, and the glue should just move its way up. So it shouldn't affect the piece itself. Oopsie, it's trying to come off. So, yeah. So I'm just going to leave that there for now. I mean, it still moves and everything. So as long as you just glue inside, and if you want to put some glue on the top too to seal it, that's probably fine as well. Little handle. And then it looks like you push these together and then push them small enough where they'll fit in the hole. And then once they're down in there, then you fold them back out. If I can here. You fold them back out. And if you want to glue these to the wood board, just so it doesn't, these don't come undone from you pulling, from you pulling on it or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. As long as you don't pull too hard, it should be fine. So I wouldn't think you need to glue it or anything like that, but just have to be careful. But if it starts coming loose or whatever, then, you can take it off and, glue it in or whatever. So I want you to turn this over because this is going to just sit right on top here. But they want you to fix the wires. They want you to fix the wires to the bottom of this piece right here. So it looks like they want you to, that's what these holes right here are for the lights to probably hang over and everything. And they actually want you to pop out another 35 block that we use for the books. And it looks like they want you to glue it right in the middle of the board. I'm guessing it's the middle because they don't say it's the middle. So I'm going to glue. So I just glued the back, and they just want you to put this right on the edge, make it level, and then just put it in the middle. And you can probably just line it up because you're going to use it to prop up one of the lights from what it looks like. And if you want to measure just to make sure it's in the middle, then you can do that as well, just to see. So, and I mean, as long as you're close, that's fine. So, but I almost missed that block. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this right here for now. Oh, it's good. It's got that. Just going to kind of lay this right here for now. Okay, so have one that's okay. So what they want you to do is they want you to have the lights to bend the light up, so you see how it's kind of straight. So they want you to bend the light is 8 o'clock. Yeah. So they want you to bend the light. I'm just using some pliers here. Bend it up. So when you paste it here, then it'll the light will be shining straight down. So that's why I'm just kind of making sure that it's level. Okay. And then what they want you to do is pretty much tape it or glue or whatever you want to do right here in this spot. So you get your tape, these little tape pieces that they give you, or you can use whatever tape you want. I mean, I've had mixed feelings with this tape. So other sets I didn't care for it too much, and then some other ones it worked okay. So I'm just putting that right in the middle, and then I'm just taping this right here. And again, you can always use multiple pieces of tape, and then I may actually glue it down as well, because the tape can kind of come undone sometimes. So there's nothing wrong with putting some glue down, as long as you hold the piece down while it's drying and everything, just so it stays. But it looks like they want you to kind of glue or tape a couple, the wires together back here, but I won't even do that till I get this lined up the way I want it. So this is going to be right there. The only thing I hate about the tape, it's hard to see on the ones that you've already used. So okay, so I want this to go around this way, and pop this right up against that, and get that right in the middle, and okay. And I'll probably glue that down as well. So make sure it stays. Just put a couple pieces of tape just to make sure it's holding. Here's just taping up, and you can use, like I said, you can use other tape. You don't have to use this that they gave you to tape the wires together. It's just kind of to hold them in place and everything, and you can put other pieces of tape down to kind of hold it. Just putting another one right here just to kind of hold this down. And I think I'll be fine with that. I'll think it. Yeah, it shows on there. So that one there. So you can always just making sure the tape don't go past the edge of the board and everything. But you can go crazy with the tape. You can put a tape all the way down and around and whatever you want to do. So I may not glue it. I may just leave it there. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So with that, okay. So now I'm just going to turn it over. Slide this in. Okay, and just make sure the wires go through the gap right there, or the hole. Pushing that down, kind of get it out of the way. You got your key, it's still glued in place. Oh. Make sure it's sitting like that. And then connect your battery. Make sure it's facing the correct way. Okay, and then just want to figure out the best position to lay it, which is usually with the on and off switch facing up. And then and you may have to mess with it to kind of get it to, sit down, and then you just put this on it. But then, but the wires have to be over there because you have the wire going straight down. So let me try this. Just gonna try to push the wires underneath here. There we go. There we go. Just have to kind of, just got to work with the wires. Okay, and then I want to turn this on. See what it looks like. Put this down. Like that. Okay. Still not the best, but yeah, it's not too bad. Okay. So with that, we are done. Hi everyone, welcome back. So as you can see, we finally finished our Sailing Memories book nook. And kind of forgot to mention it at the beginning of the build, but I definitely wanted to reach out and thank one of my subscribers. And I hope I get your name right, Bonnie Odell. And of course, we got our visitor. But she recommended or asked for me to put this together for her and everything. So definitely appreciate her reaching out and asking for this. So, and again, if anybody has any requests or whatever, I definitely don't mind doing that if it's one I haven't already done. So, but this actually wasn't too long of a build. It didn't have as much as the Eternal Bookstore book nook. Not as wide, the dimensions were a little different and everything. Yes. Do you have anything to say? So, but it still was a fun build. A couple challenging pieces that I'd mentioned in the video and everything. But it still will end up looking pretty good and everything. So if I get somebody out of the way, get out of the way. So we'll just kind of walk around, look at the outside. So here's the one side of the piece, and the back doesn't really have anything to it. It's just pretty much just kind of a solid wraparound all the way, on the sides and the back and everything. And then the top, it just has your key to open, the back door for the battery compartment. And these just kind of sit here. These aren't glued in, so they just kind of sit here because you're never going to really turn this upside down or anything. So, but we'll go ahead and get looking on the inside as best as I can. So there's the top, and we'll try to look straight in first if I can focus. There we go. So so we got the cat and we got the window. Trying to see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Cat and the little shaded window plastic piece that we put on, or paper that we put on, and that's where one of the lights is behind. and everything to give that little glow and everything. So, and you got the table and the books and the chair, and of course you got the rug that we, have fun putting together or putting it on and everything. And then you got your chest, little crate, everything. See if I can get in a little bit better there. Yep. Yeah, somebody's pushing. Somebody's quite pushing. So we got the one side over here. You got all the decorations on the wall, the pictures, the boat, and everything. So, again, not really a lot of pieces. It was just a lot of picture frames and, books to, stuff to put on the wall and everything. So not too many accessories and everything. And then, but I think they did a good job with the printing on the wood for the interior, for the walls and everything. So it has that nautical theme and everything, anything to do with sailing and all that. So I think they did a good job with that. So, but yeah, so there you go. With our guest Rosie. So a cat and then another cat. But no, this was a fun build. Not like I said, it wasn't too difficult. Just a couple challenging pieces, or steps and everything. But definitely always enjoy putting these together, and I'll definitely try to get more out. And again, apologize for taking so long to get this out. Just had a lot going on and everything. So, I try to get at least the video out, as quickly as I can, but, life always gets in the way of, what you want to do and stuff. But no, so, good model, enjoy putting it together. And again, thanks for Bonnie for suggesting it. And I hope this video helps her or anyone else who puts this together. So, but as always, please like, share, subscribe, leave comments, and I'll get back to you. And with that, I appreciate you watching. Now, I'll see you next episode.